All right, all right. We are here for another episode of Mornings with Movers. We're not gonna act like Ryan ain't just show up. But hey, you know what? We here. And we got amazing guests today. Let me start off
What's up,
again,
Ryan?
everybody. I'm Dwyght Mack with Max Moving Training. We got Ryan Marsh in the building again, which is awesome. And we got Yuri from Moving Sales Professionals joining us today. Um, so what up, everybody? How's everybody been doing?
Good, good.
Sorry, I'm
We're gonna
like
need some more energy than that.
I'm just trying to wake up, powering up.
Oh man, I can't even fathom drinking those things.
that stuff's gonna kill
I,
you, Yuri.
I know. Trust me, but sometimes you just need that extra wake up. Yeah. See, I'm not a coffee person, so
Me either, but I
and
just
they're not. And the funny part, Ryan, is they're not even paying us for this product placement that we just did, right?
hey, I secured a sponsorship from them.
Did you?
I get free snack and bacon every time I mention Duncan. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah,
I don't
really.
have
That'll be
anything.
awesome. I'm about to say, let me find out what Ryan been
And
doing
you
out
know
there.
what? Once upon a time, I actually did send an email to Monster to see if they would sponsor. And then I got one of those half-assed letters about it, but that's okay. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I thought why not, right? I mean, you mention it enough, you know. I mean, you always got to be. We talk about marketing a lot, obviously, so you got to talk about product placement and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we are, and that's what we got to do.
So, no. So when I was at AT&T, they we had a Monster sponsor come in and they gave us like so many Monsters or whatever type of energy drinks. I never liked the taste of them, so and I think they was trying to have us promote it.
You know what? Red Bull never did it for me.
Okay.
Because I was in college, you didn't have Monster, right? So you had Red Bull. It was all over the place. You had the Red Bull drinks at the bar, and that was I was in college. I also bartended for a period of time of my life. So yeah, obviously that was all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. The one thing that the one drink that never did it for me was Jägermeister. That I could not do that because to me, like as a kid, I had like I was sick for a period of time. I had like throat and tonsils issues and all that stuff. I still have them, by the way. But anyway, I had all those issues, right? And they had this cough medicine that smelled exactly like Jägermeister. So anytime I smell it, I'm like, oh man.
We used to call that deer
It just
blood.
takes me back, right? So it's like, and it's not a good experience, and it's not a good memory. So it's like I could not drink that. So I couldn't bring myself to drink it because of the smell.
I don't know. After all of these years, I think NyQuil has just still been the most disgusting cough medicine there is, but it's been the most effective.
You know what though? I was always more along. I was always more of a Theraflu guy when it came to that stuff. And my thing was always this, like I said, because I was I had those issues when I was younger. Anytime I was starting to get that thing, I used to like before I moved to Maryland, ironically enough, I used to get strep throat like 3, 4 times a year solid, like every year, and that hasn't happened in a long time now, probably good 20 years at this point or so going on that. But I used to get that all the time, right? And anytime I would feel that coming on, Theraflu right off the bat, 4 or 5 days, and I was feeling a heck of a lot better.
Definitely. Yeah. So everybody, I know this ain't moving topics, but how much could you talk
It's
about
life
moving?
topics.
Yeah, I was a Dimetapp guy. I got to throw that in there. I was all about the great Dimetapp, but I don't even know if they
Never
still
heard of
make
it.
that. But
They do. I know that for a fact. Having 2 kids, you know the stuff that's out there. Trust me.
that's some old school. It's like just great, man. It's incredible. I could drink that today right out of a cup and be happy as all hell. But
Oh, we're not gonna
yeah,
talk. We're not gonna talk about old school remedies now. I don't know if y'all had any of that. I think it's called cod liver oil. That
No.
it was like fish oil.
Mm.
And it was supposed to clear your systems up. It was weird, the most nastiest thing. And my mom used to keep it in the fridge. So just to think about drinking cold fish oil whenever you were sick. Um,
Like this is a
but
segue. How do you keep your movers healthy and happy? Just pump them up with Theraflu, whatever it's called, Dimetapp,
uh-huh.
Bots, Monster.
Make sure they ain't got no excuses. You
Yeah,
got the
what
remedy.
yeah, whatever your poison is, right?
But no, ultimately, yeah. So I guess what's been the news in the industry? You know, I know, like I said, with the latest news with Louis Mazzaro showing up to the Titans retreat, which has been the biggest thing. Um, anything on your end, Ryan?
I mean, there's always news in the industry, right? But it's just I feel like there's a difference between news and noise. And obviously there's a lot of noise that's going on, but I don't
Mhm.
have anything that's heart stopping or industry beating or anything like that. That's absolutely insane. No, um, just chatting with movers, hearing out how their peak seasons. Some have been a little bit interesting, some has been busy, and others are still kind of in that 2023 funk and just haven't been able to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a kind of a low volume when it comes to the household side, but military is peaking up like crazy. So that's kind of really all I'm hearing across the board at the moment.
Oh, there's
Gotcha.
one big one that you guys are mentioning. OnCue is out of business.
Yeah, that's old news though, right? That's
And at this point, right? At this point, what? It's been 2 weeks now. Yeah.
yeah, no, and again, like I said, we actually Dwight and I talked about this a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
and
did you guys? Okay. I
it's
wasn't part of that, so I didn't know if you talked about it.
yeah, it's one of things. It's I don't want to say much on it because honestly, I thought Kate was an amazing person. She was the first one
I
of
would
my
love to
first.
get her on my podcast. To be honest with you, I've sent a feeler out to somebody that used to be one of the execs for OnCue, and try to get connected with her, and that hasn't happened. So once again, Kate, if you are listening to this, I would love to chat. But
Um, Now was Kate the CEO over there?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she was
But
like I said, my first conference that I went to on the super move side, right? Taking the moving hat off. She came right up to me and we had an amazing conversation. She was very welcoming and warm, and obviously being a competitor of theirs, you would think that I'd be like, heck yeah, let's go. But like she put everything into that, right? That was her baby. And obviously what happened, not good for her, not good for the employees. It really, really stinks. I mean, just
yeah,
no different like if Yuri, if you were to have an episode like that, or if Dwight, you had an
not
episode
gonna
like
happen,
that,
guys.
it's
So
it can be
sorry to tell you, my competitors out there, it's not gonna happen. I'm not going anywhere.
no, I'm
Get
just
get used to it. And speaking of that, right now, that whole situation with OnCue, that effectively made us moving sales professionals the most experienced, the longest running call center for moving companies in US.
wow.
Because OnCue opened up 10 months before we did, before I opened up moving sales professionals. So, and we have a completely different model. Basically, the model that OnCue has, it's the same model that Move It Pro has. It's the same model that Movies has. They all have the same model. I don't. My model is it's pretty drastically different from the other places. Just because of the focuses, just because of the custom stuff that we do. I'm not going to go into those details, and this is Dwight's show, not mine. So, but if anybody is interested in getting more details on that, please reach out to me. We'll talk.
But yeah, no, I definitely get that. And it sucks to hear that, people are going out. I think for me, one of the things I've been looking to implement because I've been listening to No BS audiobook,
Hmm.
and they're starting to talk about different metrics. So I'm trying to start looking at things a lot different, like, looking at the lifetime value, uh, average time cycle and stuff like that. So changing up how I look at the numbers, since I've always been number focused and number driven, is something that I think I'm trying to implement and try to see customers as a long-term value or see them as, okay, well, hey, what's your average customer's lifespan cycle? If it's 3 years, okay, let's try to implement a marketing plan to see what we can do if we want to get them to 4 years or whatever the case is, and just see it from a whole different perspective, I think, from a business mindset.
I agree with that. I think it is definitely about building. It's definitely about building assets, and it's definitely about building long-term clients. And that's one of the things I always say to people. I mean, I have a minimum contract that I bring people up on when we do my services, right? But I always say, look, this is all good and great, but I want you to be with me long term. I want you to be with me for a lifetime. I want to be here to support your business growth and everything else. So I think that that's extremely important because ultimately, you know, and that's one of the things I promised to my clients too. I don't raise my rates. So my rates stay the same. Now, hopefully the work that we're doing for you is good enough where your business is increasing in value and it's having more business and you're growing by default. And as you grow, because of the work that we do for you, obviously we grow and we get more work as a result. So it's kind of hand in hand. It's more of a partnership, than anything else. That's the way that I've always looked at it. That's in terms of running what we run. But I always looked at every single one of my clients as partners. Every single one of my clients know what I look like. I know what they look like. I've done a video call with every single one of them. Some of them I've met in person. I always have an open door policy. If you guys are in Maryland and you want to stop by and say hi, please do. We'll go out to lunch. No problem. Or grab a drink if that's your poison, we can do that. But yeah, I mean, all my clients, they're always welcome to visit me, and I've had clients from all over the country stop by. I've had clients from California. Like for example, you guys all know Mario of South Bay. Mario has been in my office like God 5 times, 10 times. He's physically been here because he does business in Virginia once in a while. So every time he does business in Virginia, he stops by my office. Like I see him almost every time he's this way. And then I've had clients from Texas stop by. John Ferguson was a big client of mine for a long time. And he stopped by here a few times, and some of the other ones too. So
Yeah, no, that makes
I'm
sense.
always open for people to come and visit.
No,
I'm
that
gonna be
definitely
down
makes
your way
sense.
next week, Yuri.
Okay.
I'll be down in DC for
Okay.
the ATA's calling. What part of
When, Ryan?
I'm getting in Monday night, and then I'll be there between
Monday
ATA
night. Let me
headquarters.
look at my schedule. Hold on a second.
Well, I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be leaving probably about noon on Thursday, and my
So
brother lives
it's
out
this week or next week? What are the dates?
this upcoming week, the 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Okay, awesome. You're catching me right before I leave town. I'm out of town the following week. So yeah, definitely call me when you're here. We'll grab something.
Yeah, I'll
Because
shoot you. No,
I'm only about an hour and 20 minutes from DC. So like
what part of Maryland?
we're north of Baltimore. We're like half an hour north. So
Okay,
we're like closer to Pennsylvania line. So we're only about half an hour, maybe we're 45 minutes exactly on the dot from York, PA. So we're probably about half an hour from PA
I'll be
state line or so.
I'll be driving right by you. So
Okay, so you should stop by.
I'll be coming up to go back. So I'm up in the Northeast here. So
Okay.
upstate New York. So cool.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
shoot you a note, man. I'd love to see
Definitely
the
call me. You
operation.
can stop by. Yeah, you can stop by the office. I mean, it's not as busy as it used to be because we went a lot more remote. Like before, if you caught me like last summer, at one point I had 20 plus people physically in the office. So it was buzzing. It was awesome. So I'm trying to bring that back a little bit, but majority, like at this point, like 75% of my staff is remote.
Yeah,
So
I would say it's time. Time is changing things. You know, I wouldn't look backwards. I would probably look more forward because of adaptation.
mhm.
With COVID, where people starting to work more remote and still get the job done. Hey, if you can improve on that process and just go with the waves versus resistance, make it work. Because at the end of the day, it's going to lower your overhead in the long run.
Yes, I prefer I do miss the in-office piece. I
Mhm.
do miss collaborating with my team. We book a large move or whatever, commercial just the high fives, I literally run up and down the hallways like, hey, we just booked that big boom, and just feeding off everybody's energy. However, I will say, obviously I understand cost, what have you. It is nice to be at home sometimes. So I prefer like a hybrid piece, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the office, Tuesday, Thursday home, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday office, Thursday, Friday home. I wish I had that ability to have some sort of hybrid, just so I get that team feel.
Yeah, I'm definitely 100% with that. And I can tell you one thing that I miss about remote or regular in-house. I miss the buzz because man, when we had 20 people in here, like both, like I mean, we have a pretty good space. Like this building that we're at, we have the whole floor to ourselves. And like both of our main rooms were buzzing and it was pretty awesome. Like anytime you came in, And what that does on top of everything else, it creates additional training environment because, and that's something that you don't get in remote. Even though with remote, we have people that are, that we do our Zoom trainings every single day, Monday through Friday. And people can always chime in and they can always listen to what the other people are saying. They can always get into that training. That's always open. But on top of that, when you are in between calls and you're listening to somebody else pitch somebody and they're using something that's pretty unique and pretty cool, and you're listening to that, it's like whether you want to or you don't want to, you're picking that up and you're gonna
Hmm.
use it sooner or later. And that's the absolute awesome part. I mean, that's what I learned when I was a full-time, when I was doing fundraising, because you got to remember, my experience is, I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, Kate actually came from that part of the world as well. She came from call centers prior to being involved in moving, I believe. At least that's what I heard. I can't, 100% confirm that because I haven't had a chance to chat with her personally. But I came into this realm from having years in the fundraising industry, from doing fundraising for nonprofits, and that's where I started. Where you're asking somebody that gave $50 to Kennedy Center once to become their member and pay 10 grand a year. That's what we used to do. Same thing with Sierra Club. We were asking people for $50,000, $100,000. I had the one campaign we did for Sierra Club. I think I had close to 100K in sales for that one campaign. And that campaign lasted what, a month maybe at the most. So but yeah, I mean, it's that's where I came from. So to me, that having that whole atmosphere where you're listening to people around you, it's like because of the way that it happens, you're constantly training. So that, like, my idea originally my idea was never to go remote. So I was trying to go to on site, but because of COVID and everything else, and just because frankly, you're looking for the best possible people you can find to do your stuff. Like, I'm very
Hmm.
good at finding good sales staff. That's definitely my specialty, I'd like to think, because I've had some excellent salespeople here, and I still do. And yeah, it's a lot remote you have to go to because of what it is today. And plus, you that way it's open, you can find them all over the country versus just focusing on the area that you're in,
Yeah,
No,
or
definitely.
world for that matter. So
So I was telling Ryan a few weeks ago. So I've been dealing with telecommunications for a little while, working with a company and so like that. And last month it was a little bad because I came in fifth place, and I was pissed because I was short. I was short a few areas and I was at least 95 to 96% completed. So it was like, having that one extra day or whatever it would have been, could have easily threw me into the second or first place realm. And I was just so mad because how close I am. It's just like when I was in high
mhm,
school and I did physical fitness
mhm.
and we had to do 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes. And we had to do 60 push-ups in a minute and 90 seconds. And if I came up short of my 100 sit-ups by like 98, like I was fuming for a whole week because I was just like, damn, two more. Up, down. You could have had 100, So I'm a big believer, like I'm a perfectionist and it kills me because of that reason that I hate coming up short. And yesterday I was actually we get three rankings. We get a district, a market, and we get like a region ranking. And in all those categories, I was one, and two. And the two, I was like, all right, I could probably settle for the two, but at the end of the day, that's out of 1,900 people that I'm competing with. So I'm like, that's not bad, I'll take number two in that case. But having that little extra help, because I've been doing all this by myself, unfortunately, but having that little extra help from other people, I feel like, where they can pick up where your weakness is. I think we could have definitely had that 1-1-1. But
Yeah. No, I
that's
mean,
my
you
two
want to
cents.
have friendly competition. It's like, it's kind of, look, I've been in different types of call centers as far as moving, like before I opened up my own place. I worked for this guy in Maryland. I'm gonna not name any names, but his whole thing was he wanted the salespeople to be at each other's throat. That is not a good way to create a good environment. And while from the standpoint of an owner, you may be thinking, okay, this is going to cause them to sell more. What this is going to cause is a distraction. And they're going to be constantly looking behind themselves to make sure nobody's undercutting and stealing a sale from them. That's exactly what you don't want. What you want is people in the office knowing that if they worked with somebody for like X amount of time and they've been working, they know that if that person calls on their day off, that somebody else in the office is going to pick up that slack, book that job for them without stealing a single dollar from their pocket. That's what you want. You want to have that comfort knowing that your team, the people that you're working with, are there to back you up. Because those situations are going to happen to everybody, where somebody calls when you're off or something happens and you can't be there to help or to finish off this person that you've been working on for a year. That
Yeah,
does
no,
happen in this industry.
I do
And
100%
but
agree
you
with that.
definitely want that feeling because, and look, we got friendly competition. I can tell you that. We got a specific channel that we use where we use specific messages. So we don't use Slack. We don't, we use Telegram. Telegram is freaking awesome.
Mhm.
And it's free, by the way. So we use all our channels on that platform for everything that we do. And it's been really working out great. We have a specific channel that's called The Board that everybody's putting all their bookings on that thing. And you constantly, and then we have another board that shows everybody's total numbers for the month. And you have like close to the end of the month, you start seeing this. Where everybody's trying to beat each other by like $10, by $20, because everybody wants to be number one. And then you have your maybe top two that are fighting it out, and then you have the secondary fighting happening place. But it's good competition. It's not like nobody's trying at each other's throat, and there's some jawing going around about, hey, catch me if you can, and so on and so forth. But it's but at the time, it's not mean. You know what I mean? It's not mean, and it's competitive, and it's fun.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good feeling to have in house. I think one of the
Yeah.
things for me was when I got into dealing with the telecommunications at first, they were saying you got to be sharks in the water because you got to be out for yourself and you make sure that you hit your metrics and stuff like that. But then it started getting a little discouraging when the traffic wasn't coming in the door like that. And then, other people were racing to the door, they were sitting by the door, and you're just like, I don't really like this. I would just like to come and do my job, deal with the customers, have that great experience. And then, now that I've been in a better spot and things have gotten better, it's to that point now where it's just like, prime example, let's say you have a sales manager and the sales manager needs to hit a certain metric, but once they hit their certain metric, they can really help that sales rep, push and get to their commission dollar that they want to get to.
But that sales manager needs to be up and up on that, because what you have problems with a lot of these managers, whether it's sales or otherwise, you have managers that want to hit their quota. And once they hit their quota, they're just chilling and they really don't care if you're hitting your quota or not. You have managers like that too. And they're
Mhm.
not coming back and supporting and looking at it as a way to improve their team so that next month it's going to be easier to hit that quota because you just help your team get better, right? But a lot of them don't look at it that way, and it's hard to. Look. I used to work for a government entity at a time, and I was a young and ambitious new hire, contractor at the time, and I was like, give me work, and the person was just frankly happy keeping status quo, and it's like I think as management, we need to adapt to the staff that we have. Some people are happy just to hit in their certain platform, but you have others that are a lot more ambitious, that have other goals in mind, that whatever we got to support ambition.
What were you gonna say, Ryan?
Now, I said it brings up a question. Do you see in the future the commission-based salesperson just dissolving? And I'm not saying the sales role dissolve, but that commission-based piece where it turns into more of a performance-based overall health of the company payout. Because if I see a lot of moving companies that are paying movers, right? So movers are booking jobs to get that commission because they're getting X%. But a lot of these movers are booking, or sales reps are booking business and potentially making more than the company. It's not healthy business that they're booking, whether it's not at the right rate, there's X amount of discount or what have you. Do you see that being a future impact on basically the profitability of this industry?
I think it's got to be both, personally. Because to me, if you have salespeople, commission has to be a huge component of that. Because frankly, that if you pay this hourly, and I've done this, trust me, that's where I started. I started paying my people hourly and commission. At this point, I'm all commission, right? There's going to be people that are just going to be, frankly, happy sitting on their ass. And they're not going to put as much of an effort.
They're still commission paid. But
I mean,
at the end of the quarter, halfway through the or end piece, not saying, hey, you're getting a commission on this particular deal or that deal. It's, hey, how are your salespeople making X amount of dollars when the company is only, barely getting by on interstate work or what have you? To me, it would be like the overall health of interstate.
It's got to be both. It's got to be both because you have, for example, I have commission and then I have additional bonuses that are available to be hit every month. So if they're hitting those bonuses every month, they got additional money that's available to them if they hit that. But here's the problem that I see all the time, right? And I saw this when I was a sales rep working for somebody else, right? At the end of the day, you don't look at what you're paying your salesperson thinking, oh, I'm paying them. That's not the point. Is that person earning you money? That's the bottom line. It's not how much they're making. It's how much they're bringing. So if I book $100,000 worth of sales for you, right? And you pay me what you pay me, but I brought you in $100,000 worth of business, right? And I brought you, let's say, I don't know, let's say you paid me for that month. I don't know. Let's say you paid me $13,000 for that month, right? That's worth to pay if somebody brought you in $100,000 worth of business, don't you think? Don't look at what you're paying your movers. Look at what they're bringing in. If they're making you money, if they're bringing you profit after everything else, after you paid your guys, after your expenses, after you paid them, if at the end of the day, they're still bringing you money.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Yuri. I would say that there's
you got to look at that. You can't look at what you're paying
worth
them
of
per
business.
se.
To me, the game changer is $100,000 worth of business at that $13,000 a month. To me, the answer is absolutely not. Now, if it's $100,000 worth of profit, paying out that sales rep $13K, 100%. So you look at the average margins in the moving industry, sales rep books $100K in a month, yet he's making $13,000. Most moving companies aren't keeping 13 cents on the dollar at this point, right? So to me, it's like, yeah, so I guess the deeper question, peeling the onion back even more, is $100,000 worth of bookings or $100,000 worth of profit did your sales rep bring in that you're basically paying out on? That's kind of where I'm at.
But you gotta look at that. There's not gonna be too many companies that are gonna have $100,000 worth of profit every month. Like, in order to have that type of profit, you really have to either have much tighter budget margins, or the market that you're in just allows you to charge much higher rates, and you're a company that's been around for a very, very long time. What I find, the other thing I find is that as moving companies owners, they need to be open to different payment models. Like, for example, I'll give you this. This may be a secret to some people. This may not be a secret to others. So I do have a kernel of truth here for you. Okay. So in my experience, a lot of my current and former clients are, that came into this country as immigrants, right? So that is part of the clientele that I do attract, right? Having that background myself, right? So the Russian speakers, Israelis, Ukrainians, right? They have a whole network built as far as long distance moving goes. They have a bunch of owner operators that are picking up loads from these companies at a very low margin. I mean, realistically, if you're moving, for example, from on the East Coast, your running rate is somewhere probably between like a $1.50 and maybe $2 a cube at the most. If you're taking things to California, to West Coast, to like Washington State, you're probably somewhere between $3 and $3.50, maybe $3.75 a cube, depending where you go, right? And that includes them unloading the truck. I've spoken to quite a few American companies, and when I tell them that this exists, they don't believe me because they think that it's, you know, they want to do their, either they want to do their own long distance direct deliveries, or they want to use a transportation company. Whatever the case is, their margins are a lot higher, you know, they're a lot lower because of that, right? But this network already exists. There's plenty of companies that try to rebuild this idea. There's a few that I know, but for that portion of the moving industry, that network is already there.
Well, we gotta.
And
I was gonna say that we just want to make sure that we are watching the numbers, very similar to what Ryan mentioned. You know, because if we thinking 13% of, you know, that $100,000 or whatever the case is, ultimately we got to realize that we got 87% left to spend on general overhead and our cost of goods sold. So we definitely want to make sure that, you know, we can get that lower for sure. So that we definitely make sure that we have a money on the bottom line ultimately, especially some people that's trying to have that 22% profit margin at the bottom line. There's no way
right.
you could
But
be spending
here's
13% in this area.
but here's another part, just referring to what you're saying, right? What a lot, like, for example, company like ours, for comparison's sake, right? This is what people don't think about when they look at this. They look at the specific number, let's say 13%, right? Let's take that as the number. You know, they look at that specific number and they're like, oh, you know, that's too much. But here's what you're not thinking about. You're not thinking about how much money and time you're going to spend to find an in-house rep. You're not thinking how much money and time you're going to spend training a house rep. How many people are not going to show up for interviews? How many people are not going to show up for their first day of work? How many people a month, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months into it, they're going to say, you know, this is not for me? Or you're going to realize that they will never be that $100,000 salesperson, right? If you take all those things, and not to mention the time that you're spending on this, and put that into dollar figures, 13% commission to cover all of that is not that much of a step up from what you're spending trying to get that perfect in-house rep. And reality also is this: moving companies, and I'm not trying to, you know, put anybody down, but there's very few moving company owners out there whose specialty is sales and who are very good at hiring salespeople. That's a very small number in comparison. Because what are majority moving company owners? They're people that used to be on the truck before. They're foremen. So they're very good at spotting good foremen. They're very good at spotting good helpers, good movers, good people that are going to do the labor on the day of the move. They're very good at spotting that talent. I couldn't come close to that. I can tell you that 100%. That's not my specialty. But my specialty is finding good salespeople. And how many, realistically, if you're trying to find that perfect in-house person that's going to take you to the top, how much time and how many people do you have to go through to find that person? Because I can tell you, I worked for a specific moving company in Virginia. I started there in like 2009 or no, 2010. And then I was there till almost all the way until I opened up my company. I was kind of going back and forth of it, doing different things, but I was there for a pretty long time. You know, one constant that stayed the same while I was there, me.
Yep.
Because they went through a huge amount of salespeople, huge, you know, and they went through a pretty large margin of it, and I was the only constant. What does that tell you? That's not telling you necessarily how great I am. That tells you that what I'm trying to point at is that extremely good salespeople are going to be able to take your company to the top. They are rare.
Well,
they're not easy to find.
I was going to say, so we are at the top of the time, yeah. Ryan, did you have anything before we took off?
No, I was just I agree 100% with Yuri on this one. Even 15% when I ran numbers a few months ago, for example, on a call center, even going up to 15% commission, you are still net saving money as a moving company owner by farming out your sales team to people like Yuri and what he does. So when you look at the cost of the overhead of the employee and everything that goes behind that, the training, are they going to stick around and what have you? So 13%
Benefits,
extremely, oh yeah, benefits. And you FMLA,
days off, paid
tax.
days off,
Yeah,
vacation
definitely.
time.
Another the last thing I'll leave it on is I wish this industry, and I keep hearing, salespeople are always telling, right? I mean, I took pride on taking sales out of my title. I was a guide. I wanted to guide these customers through the relocation, rather
I
than
like
basically
that.
selling.
I like that actually.
Selling is telling, right? Salespeople are always trying to. What are we actually selling, right? We should be guiding them through an incredible experience throughout their stressful time. So to me, I'd have every salesperson, right? I mean, you're still selling, but get rid of the sales title. Get rid of sales executive, VP of no. Be a damn good guide. And I feel like that you'll have even more of a greater impact on where you're at. But yeah, I've always been a relocation guide. I was never a salesperson, but I can sell.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to have a panel one of these days, maybe between you and Yuri, and we'll just make it a fun little debate on one side versus the other side. I know that you did something similar to that recently, Ryan, or you were planning on doing it on your Zoom, your
Yep.
podcast, I mean.
We
But
we did say we did that, but me and my the guy I did it with, we just agreed on too much. Like we're moving 101, getting it back to the basics. None of this fancy, crazy, wild
You
stuff.
should have brought me on.
yeah,
Leading to the
so
questions that you ask, right? Guiding that customer through their journey, and you'll be
yeah,
super.
so we're gonna have y'all choose two separate sides and debate the cases to make it a little more interesting. But all
Okay.
right, y'all.
You
So
come on with
remember,
the cases, we'll debate them.
remember, y'all. So next week we're gonna have the marketing event, the live marketing seminar. So definitely join us next week. I will talk to Ryan and see if we want to do a morning show that morning, but I think it's gonna be enough gems dropped in that afternoon on the 12th. So definitely join us. And Yuri will definitely set up something. Like I said, we'll have that little fun debate between you and Ryan
Okay.
about sales and stuff and see where.
Well, speaking of the 12th, since Ryan is going to be in town anyway on the 12th, right, Ryan?
Yeah, afternoon of yeah, I'm basically driving home the night of the 12th, basically.
Because I was going to say, if you drop by my office earlier that day and we hook up with Dwyght, we could actually, the two of us can actually sit here and have that debate.
That'd be awesome, man. We'll do a live debate. Almost
Yeah, why
kind of like
not?
what's going on right now with politics, but we'll leave all that out, man.
So,
That could be fun.
all right, y'all. So y'all keep crushing it out there, and we will see y'all next week. Again, the link will be down in the bio on the YouTube channel as well as on Facebook. So definitely tune in. Ask whatever questions y'all need to ask, but it's going to be all things moving marketing. So see y'all soon.
Good seeing you. Take care, guys.